I want you to imagine something. You are 13 years old. You wake up before the sun rises. You grab a bag full of sunglasses and fake watches. You walk into the cold streets of Athens. You sell, you run, you hide from police. You come home at night with a few euros in your pocket. You give every coin to your mother. You do this every day. You have no passport. You have no country. You are not Greek. You are not Nigerian. You are nothing on paper. If the police catch you, your whole family could be sent away. Everything your parents sacrificed could disappear in one afternoon. But there is one thing you have. Every evening, after the selling is done, after the hiding is over, you find a basketball. You find a patch of concrete, and you play until your hands are numb and the streetlights come on. You are nobody. You are stateless. You are hungry. And one day, the whole world will know your name. This is the story of Giannis Antetokounmpo. The story does not begin in Athens. It begins on a boat. In 1991, a young man named Charles Antetokounmpo left Nigeria. He left behind his family, his village, his language. He carried almost nothing. He was looking for something better. He was looking for a life that did not feel like a trap. He made it to Greece. There he met a woman named Veronica. She had also come from Nigeria. She had also crossed oceans looking for something more. They found each other in a foreign city, in a country that did not want them, and they built a family anyway. They had 5 sons. Giannis was the second. He was born on December 6, 1994 in Athens, Greece. But Greece did not recognize him. Think about that for a moment. You are born in a country. You grow up in that country. You learn its language. You eat its food. You breathe its air. And that country looks at you and says, "You do not exist here." Giannis had no Greek citizenship. His parents had no legal papers. They lived in the Sepolia neighborhood of Athens, a working-class area, crowded and loud, where immigrant families pressed together and survived. The apartment was small, very small. 5 boys, 2 parents, 1 space, but the family was full of something money could not buy. Charles and Veronica loved their children with everything they had. Every morning, Charles would say the same thing. He would look at his boys and say, "We may have nothing, but we have each other, and that is everything." Giannis heard those words every day of his childhood. He would carry them for the rest of his life. The selling started young Doc Giannis and his older brother Thanasis walked the tourist streets of Athens, Monastiraki, Plaka, the squares where Europeans came with cameras and euros. The boys spread their goods on a blanket, sunglasses, watches, small things, cheap things. When the police came, they ran. This was the routine. Sell, watch, run, come home. Give the money to mother. Sleep, wake up. Do it again. School was complicated. Some days Giannis went. Some days the family needed him on the street. He was a quiet boy. He did not cause trouble. He watched everything around him with wide, careful eyes. He grew fast. Faster than other boys. By the time he was 13, he was already tall. His arms were long. His hands were enormous for his age. The other kids noticed. The adults noticed. But nobody knew what to do with him yet. Then, one afternoon, everything changed. A man named Spiros Veliniatis saw Giannis playing in the street. Spiros ran a small basketball club in Athens, a real club with a real court and real coaches. He watched the tall, thin Nigerian Greek boy move with the ball, and something stopped him. He invited Giannis to come and train. Giannis said yes, but he was nervous. He had never played organized basketball before. He had only played on concrete with broken balls, with no rules and no coaches. Real basketball felt like a different world. He walked into the gym. He looked around. He was the skinniest boy in the room. His shoes were too small. His shorts were borrowed, and then the game started. And nothing was the same again. The club was called Philathleticos. It was not a famous club. It was not rich. The players trained in a small gymnasium with bad lighting and a floor that squeaked. There were no scouts watching, no cameras, no future guaranteed. But Giannis worked like he was being chased, because in some way, he was. He understood something that the other boys did not. For them, basketball was a hobby, a way to spend the afternoon. For Giannis, basketball was a door, the only door he could see. If he became good enough, maybe he could earn money. Maybe he could help his family. Maybe he could get papers. Maybe he could become real in the eyes of a country that refused to see him. He trained every day. He studied the game like a student. He watched videos of NBA players on a small phone with a cracked screen. He copied their moves on the Philathleticos court. He fell, he got up. He fell again. His coaches saw something rare. Not just talent, something behind the talent. A fire that did not go out. His teammate from those early days remembered something. He said Giannis never complained, not once. When training was hard, he said nothing. When he was tired, he said nothing. He just kept going. There is a photograph from those years. Giannis is maybe 15 years old. He is standing on the Philathleticos court in old, worn-out shoes. He is smiling. Not a big, proud smile. A quiet smile. The smile of someone who has found the one place in the world where he belongs. Look at that photograph long enough, and you will understand everything about who he became. By 2012, Giannis was 17 years old. He was now playing for the Philathleticos senior team. He was getting better fast. Too fast for the small courts of Athens to contain him. Word was starting to spread. European scouts began to appear at the gymnasium. They sat in the bad seats under the bad lighting, and they watched this extraordinary teenager. Long arms, quick feet, a mind that read the game like he had played it for 40 years. One scout sent a message back to his club. He said, "I have found something. I do not know what it is yet, but I have found something. In America, the NBA draft was approaching. Teams were looking for hidden talent, players that other teams had missed, players that existed in the shadows of places nobody thought to look. Someone at the Milwaukee Bucks started watching tape of a 17-year-old Nigerian Greek boy playing in a small gymnasium in Athens. They sent a representative to watch him in person. The representative sat in the stands. He watched Giannis for one half of basketball. Then he called Milwaukee. He said 3 words, "Draft this kid." June 27, 2013. The Barclays Center in Brooklyn. New York, the NBA draft. In a small apartment in Athens. The Antetokounmpo family sat together around a television. Charles, Veronica, the 5 boys. The room was quiet, the kind of quiet that holds its breath. In Brooklyn, the commissioner of the NBA walked to the microphone with the 15th pick of the 2013 NBA draft. The Milwaukee Bucks select Giannis Antetokounmpo. The apartment in Athens exploded, Veronica cried. Charles grabbed his son. The brothers jumped. They screamed. They held each other. The boy who had no country had just been chosen by one of the most powerful sports leagues on the planet. The boy who had hidden from police on the streets of Athens was now going to America. This boy who had sold fake watches on a blanket was going to earn a salary that his parents could not have imagined. In their most beautiful dream. But first, Giannis had to say goodbye. He packed one bag. He hugged his mother for a long time. He shook his father's hand. Charles looked at his son and said something simple. He said, "Go and make us proud, and take care of yourself." Giannis nodded. He walked out of the apartment. He was 18 years old. He was going to a country he had never seen. He spoke almost no English. He had never lived alone. He had never had money in his pocket. He was completely alone, and he was completely ready. Milwaukee. Wisconsin, cold gray, nothing like Athens. Giannis arrived in a city that did not know what to make of him. He was tall and thin. He could not shoot well yet. His English was broken. He made mistakes in every practice. His first NBA paycheck arrived. He had never seen a number like that in his life. He called his mother immediately. He told her the number. She was silent for a moment. Then she told him what to do with it. She told him to save it. She told him to be careful. She told him that money could disappear faster than it arrives. He listened. He always listened to his mother. In those first months in Milwaukee, Giannis did something that surprised his coaches. He ate in the team cafeteria and filled his pockets with food, fruit, bread, anything he could carry. The staff watched, confused. When someone finally asked him why, his answer was simple. He said, "Old habit. When you grow up not knowing if there will be food tomorrow, you keep some close." That was the boy underneath the NBA player. That was the child from Sepolia who never fully disappeared. The basketball was hard. The NBA was nothing like Athens. The players were bigger, faster, stronger. Every night was a lesson in how much he still had to learn. He lost games. He made mistakes. Some nights he sat in his apartment alone and thought about his family far away. He thought about his father's hands, his mother's voice, the street corners where he used to sell. He missed them the way you miss air when you cannot breathe, but he worked. Every morning before anyone else. Every evening after everyone had gone home. He was always in the gym, always on the court, always pushing. His coaches saw it. His teammates saw it. Everyone in the Bucks organization slowly began to understand what they had found. Then the years began to move fast. Giannis was growing. Not just taller, stronger, faster, more complete. The thin boy from Athens was becoming something no one had a word for yet. In February 2017, the NBA held its All-Star Weekend. The best players in the world were selected. Giannis was chosen for the first time. He was 22 years old. He called his father from the locker room after the announcement. Charles answered the phone, Giannis told him. There was a long pause on the line. Then Charles laughed, a big full laugh. The laugh of a man who had crossed an ocean with nothing and watched his son cross another. That same year, Giannis received something else, something more important than any basketball trophy. He became a Greek citizen. The country that had refused to see him for 22 years finally looked at him and said, "You are one of us." He held the document in his hands. He stared at it. He was real now. On paper, officially, he had a country. He thought about the boy on the street, the boy running from police, the boy with no papers and no future on any official document. He was still that boy. He would always be that boy. But now the world knew his name. The years after that were a storm. Giannis wins his first MVP award, the most valuable player in the entire NBA. A boy who once sold sunglasses on a blanket in Athens, voted the best basketball player on the planet. Then in December 2019, the worst call of his life. His father, Charles, died in Nigeria. He had traveled back home to visit family. He suffered a heart attack. He was 58 years old. Giannis was in the middle of the NBA season when he heard. He did not speak about it publicly for a long time. He carried it quietly, the way he had always carried everything, inside, deep, without letting anyone see how heavy it was, but those who knew him saw something change. A new kind of determination, not the hunger of a young man trying to prove himself. Something older. Something that belonged to grief. He started playing for his father, every game, every night. For the man who had crossed an ocean with nothing. For the man who had said, "We may have nothing, but we have each." Charles had never seen his son win a championship. Giannis was going to make sure he had not lived for nothing. July 20th, 2021. Freezer Forum, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Game 6 of the NBA Finals. Milwaukee Bucks against the Phoenix Suns. The Bucks needed one win to become champions of the world. Giannis had been playing through pain for weeks. His knee had been damaged in an earlier round. Every game was a battle, not just against the opponent, but against his own body. In the first half, he was quiet. The Suns were controlling the game. Then, something shifted. In the second half, Giannis took over. He scored. He blocked shots. He rebounded. He ran the floor. He played every possession like it was his last. Like the boy from Sepolia who understood that chances do not always come back. With minutes remaining, Giannis went to the free throw line. The whole arena held its breath. He had struggled with free throws for years. Critics had built entire arguments about his limitations around that one fact. He bounced the ball once, twice, 3 times. He shot, it went in. He shot. Again, it went in. And then the final whistle. Came Milwaukee Bucks, NBA champions. Giannis dropped to his knees on the court. He looked up at the ceiling of the arena. He put his hands over his face. He was crying. He cried for the boy selling watches in Athens. He cried for the cold apartment in Sepolia. He cried for the cracked phone with the NBA videos. He cried for his mother who told him to save his money. He cried for his brothers who had believed in him before anyone else did. And he cried for his father, the man who would never see this night. The man who made it possible anyway. He finished with 50 points, 14 rebounds, 5 blocks. The greatest performance in an NBA Finals clinching game. In over 50 years, they gave him the trophy. He held it above his head, and somewhere in the crowd someone held up a sign. A simple sign. 3 words written in black marker, son of Charles. My friend, I want you to sit with this story for a moment before we say goodbye. Giannis Antetokounmpo was not supposed to be here. He was not supposed to have a country. He was not supposed to have papers. He was not supposed to have a future that anyone could see or measure or predict. The world looked at that boy on the streets of Athens and saw nothing. He looked at himself and saw something. That is the whole story. Every part of it comes back to that. He did not have money. He did not have citizenship. He did not have a famous coach or a powerful family or a lucky break handed to him on a clear afternoon. He had the streets. He had the concrete. He had a bag of fake watches and a ball he found somewhere, and a family who told him every morning that love was enough to start with. And he started. He kept starting. Every day, in bad shoes, in a dark gymnasium, in a cold city far from home, in a season where his knee was broken and his father was gone and the whole world was watching him fail at free throws, he kept starting, maybe tonight. My friend, you are thinking about something you have not started yet, or something you started and then put down because it got too hard or too heavy or too far away from where you wanted to end up. Maybe a verdict has been read to you. Too poor, too foreign, too late, too much of the wrong thing and not enough of the right one. But I want to leave you with the image of a boy with no passport, no country, no guarantee of tomorrow, standing on a patch of concrete in Athens with a basketball in his hands, just playing. Not because he was sure it would work, because it was the only thing that felt real. Maybe you have something like that, something that feels real, something that will not go quiet no matter how much noise the world makes around it. That thing is not nothing. That thing is everything. Start there and keep going. Thank you for spending this time with me today. My friend, if this story moved you, leave a comment. Tell me which moment stayed with you the most. Was it the boy selling watches? The night his father laughed on the phone? Or the moment he dropped to his knees with the trophy in his hands? I read every word you write. Until next time, take care of yourself, and when the night falls, come back.